Well, feeling like Jackass is the perfect segue. Welcome to ABC 72.
We're all jackasses now.
We're all jackasses every day.
I'm Nick.
I'm Brandon, and for this episode, we watched 2 episodes of each of our 4 shows. So episodes 19 and 20 for Demon Slayer, 6 and 7, 6 and 7 for Doctor Stone, and 6 and 7 for Fire Force, and I think 6 and 7 for Vinland Saga 2. So there we go.
Yeah.
A lot of 6 and 7s.
I think it's 5 and 6 for Fire Force.
In my notes, I have 6 and 7, but I might be wrong. So let me quickly.
Because Fire Force had that week delay.
It did have a week delay, but I think it started.
So
a week earlier.
It should be 1 week behind. Oh, did it? Maybe you're right then.
I'm super wrong.
Okay, so it's 5 and 6.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I got confused with Doctor Stone. Well, there we go.
Because we had a hiatus last week, and we're back.
Yes. We are back.
We're the best show. Our hiatuses are like 1 week.
Those are I don't know, days. Those are vacation days that we take.
Basically.
I don't know.
If we were a syndicated program, we'd have a hiatus that's like a year.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, when we sell out to a network, we're absolutely going to take year-long hiatuses, just because.
Exactly. Well, to start off our discussion, we should talk about Demon Slayer.
We're going to be the worst. We would be the actual worst real podcast.
Well, we are the worst real podcast.
I mean, are we a real podcast, though?
We're not on any casting services, so probably not, but I can do that next season. I researched it. It's not that hard.
Okay.
Literally any fucking bozo can have a podcast. Hence this.
Hence this exists.
Basically. Well, anyways, Demon Slayer.
Although, to be fair, the one thing, in the finishing of our podcast thing, I've already stated, I refuse to actually get a real podcast sponsor.
Oh, 100%. Fuck everyone.
This is my bar. We have to get sponsored by a real, it exists, and is legit company. Not like one of these bullshit podcast sponsors. It's got to be like Nike or better. That's my line.
Jesus
Actually,
Christ.
strike that. We can go a little bit lower.
Fucking
We can get
high roller.
sponsored by Adidas or better. But we can only ever go up is the other rule.
Okay.
Once we get sponsored by Adidas, it's got to be Adidas or better. And once we get better than that, it's got to be them or better.
How would you like it? What about niche things? Like, what if Gundam Planet or Gundam USA was like, hey, call us out?
I'd be okay with
100%,
that.
I'm taking that, because I
Yeah,
buy it
that's
from
legit,
them all the
though.
fucking time.
Yeah, that's legit, though.
Yeah.
Other people don't get sponsored by Gundam Planet. I'd be okay with that.
Well, they might. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe like that one Gundam podcast does.
But I'd be okay with stuff like that. I just don't want to get like a fucking cliche podcast sponsor.
Hey, this is post stamps. We're gonna give you a scale, and then you can get postage. Yay!
Yay. Fuck that shit. We have lines.
We
And
have
our
standards.
sponsors, once we establish a standard for a sponsor, it's got to only ever get better. That's the rules.
As our once great Alex said, I have standards, sir.
I have standards, sir, as said by Alex.
On his
doesn't
topic of
have any.
hentai.
Oh
When
yeah,
it comes
that's
to
right. That's what
hentai.
it was about.
Well, anyways, Demon Slayer, episode 19. So in this episode, we have the reintroduction of Giyu, where he shows up and basically just beats shit at Tarzan Spider Dad, like, immediately. And saving Inosuke while he's getting, fucking clamped.
Yeah.
And after that, Inosuke, being the little awkward kid he is, ignores that he's, like, horribly mangled and tries to challenge Giyu to a duel, like, immediately.
Right. He stands up with his crushed face and he's like, "Fight me!"
Fight me! And then Giyu just presses him up the tree and just leaves. And
I like
Inosuke-
to imagine that, like, this is all in Inosuke's imagination. He was screaming, "Fight me!" And in actuality, his, like, fucking broken jaw, he was just like, "Arr, arr, arr, arr."
just like
He's like
filtering up
Rocky
blood.
at the end of Rocky 2. Adrian!
But yeah, right for as of right now, he's tied up to a tree and just like there. He's in a cocoon of rope,
Yeah,
which comes into play later. Kind of.
kind of.
On the other side of the forest, we've got Butterfly Hasher Girl, who shows up to save Zenitsu. I was wrong about the little magic fairy butterfly dust. It's actually just an antidote. It's literally just a vaccine.
Yeah.
She pumps some drugs into him, He slowly starts to get better. He goes to sleep, and that's the end of that.
That's basically the end of it.
So far, Zenitsu's presumed kind of alive.
Yeah.
And then we get to the meat of the episode.
Slightly less dead, we'll say.
Yeah, slightly less dead. We get to the meat of the episode where Tanjiro fights the lower 5 moon Spider Kid.
Yeah.
Immediately, Spider Kid tries to kill Tanjiro using the little like fucking cobweb attacks with like the single threads. And this is like right after Tanjiro like had broken his sword. And, they had that whole discussion about you can't take Nezuko away and whatever. Right as Spider Kid is about to use this cobweb net to entrap him, Nezuko shows up finally, and then takes a brunt of the force, and they like escape with a severely injured Nezuko.
Kind of escape. It's more like they crawl behind a tree.
It still escaped. They got away.
Kind of. I mean, they're not really away, though. They're behind, like, a tree 20 feet away.
They moved away further from the attack range.
Okay, yeah. They're out of sight, at the very least.
This is Spider Kid into, like, an idealization of Nezuko as, like, the perfect younger sister. Mm-hmm. And, like, at this point, he's, like, he just wants Nezuko to be his. Like, just full stop.
Because if we haven't learned anything yet, or if we've learned one thing, it's that Spider Kid has some really unhealthy mental picturing of what, like, a good family is.
Yes. He attacks his older sister, who like is getting upset, not upset, but like scared, that she'll be replaced.
Basically, is in the way.
That too.
She's present, and Spider Kid has moved on, so he needs to make room in his family by removing a child. So,
which he doesn't really need to do, but
no, he also doesn't really. He's too like consumed by the idea of make Nezuko my sister to really finish the job. He kind of just whips her a couple times and she leaves.
Well, no, he like straight up cuts her in half, like cuts her in pieces, because she has to go and like pick up her head again.
Yeah.
But anyways.
I mean, yes, but I mean, when you're a demon and you just regen, that's like nothing. I assume.
Spider Kid's like, Tanjiro, give him your sister, and then Tanjiro says, "No, I will never do that because she's my sister." While he's trying to put her hand back together, which is essentially cut off. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he's able to like fish line her away from Tanjiro, and then traps her up in the trees with like just the spider wires, and she's up there now. Then Tanjiro, once again faces off with Spider Kid, but he's still not able to cut off or to clip the threads, and he's not even able to like actually cut off Spider Kid's head. He's able to get to the head, but like he's not able to actually cut it. Mm-hmm. So he's like shit out of luck right now. He's not in a very good moment, and not in a very good position.
No. And I think at this point it was also of the early parts of this fight, probably one of my favorite moments is like he gets there with his sword, he hits the Spider Kid in the neck, and it just sort of stops.
Yeah.
And then rather than whipping out the spider threads again, Spider Kid just kicks him around for a while. And it was brutal.
Yeah.
Like something about the sound design and watching Tanjiro just get like fucking punched and backhanded and kicked all around this clearing. It just felt like more sinister almost. Not quite sinister, but just it hurt in a way that spider threads, you kind of feel like it's hard to imagine the pain of spider threads, but
you've been kicked before. Chances are. So you know how that feels.
Yeah.
Maybe not as hard as Tanjiro, but
Yeah, I haven't been kicked by a demon, but you get the idea of, fuck damn, this sucks. And
then, Spider Kid, just to add salt to the wound, takes out his fucking blood threads, which are even stronger, as if he fucking needed them. And we see, Tanjiro in a fetal position. No, not a fetal position. Well, in the fetal and a fetal position. Tanjiro is, like, basically, once again, gets enveloped in that cobweb net. But this time around, Nezuko is not there to help him, and also these are even stronger threads, so he can't, now he can't even break them even more, as if he couldn't before.
Yeah.
And just like how before, where Zenitsu kind of sees his life flash before his eyes, it comes back, and the same thing happens with Tanjiro, where he remembers his dad, doing the dance for the Hinokami, which I assume is like some fire spirit or something.
I'm assuming it's fire god.
Fire god? I guess, well, yeah.
Because I think Kami is God.
Well, the thing though, like Hinokami can be plural or like singular, so it could be like little spirits too,
It could
right?
be. I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm assuming. I mean, we neither of us know a huge
Yeah,
amount about Japanese. All that we know about this language comes from anime.
yeah.
Um,
Anyways, it's like a god or spirit or something. It's
yeah.
something that they're like dancing for.
Yes, it's clearly something that they're celebrating on New Year's Eve. I don't remember when
It's in
he saw his
winter,
father doing. It was definitely in winter.
and it's about fire, also specifically,
Yes.
because Hinokami helps them like with their coal. Yeah, with their charcoal production.
Yeah.
And this gives Tanjiro some inspiration for, I think it's like the 10th form. It's whatever like the waveform is, which he uses the dance to enhance his waveform to cut up the red threads, and then
Well, he changes his breathing. It's
Changes
not.
his
It's
breathing,
not.
too.
He's not enhancing the dance, or he's not enhancing the water form. It's a completely different style now.
Okay,
So
I saw it more as like
because originally,
go ahead.
originally he was doing water breathing, is what it's
Yes.
called, water breath style. So he's now changing to
Was it Hinokami?
breath of the
breathing?
fire. Yeah, the breath of the fire god, basically, or Hitokami, whatever it means.
Oh, I
So
thought he
he's
said
full
like.
on changing.
Oh, I thought he said like water breathing form and then like Hinokami dance or something. Maybe that was just the name of the thing he did.
Well, because he's talking about like when he first whips it out, he
Yeah.
says he can't stop because he's
He's
if
channeling,
he ever
he's doing
if
the
he-
dance and he's
he-
breathing.
well, it's not just that he's doing the dance, but he's specifically doing like the change from the water breathing into the fire
Oh,
breathing.
okay.
The like shock of that is going to give him like system shutdown essentially.
Oh,
So he understands if he stops because he just did a radical shift in the breathing style, it's gonna fuck with him. So I'm assuming it's not just like an enhancement to it now, but it's a completely different style he just transferred into, basically.
okay. All right. While that's happening, Nezuko also has like a little, not really a flashback, but a hallucination where she sees her mother, and her mother's like, "Hey, Rocky, wake up, you fool!" So she wakes up, and she wakes up both metaphorically and physically. Metaphorically, she wakes up to her blood demon powers, which she becomes a fucking bomb.
Yeah.
And she uses her blood to not basically, but she blows up the fucking threads, while Tanjiro is able to get to the neck of Spider Kid and slice it off.
Yeah.
Spoiler: he doesn't actually slice it off.
As we learned in immediately the next episode, it was all a lie.
Yes. Anyways, basically the talk of the town this episode was the fact that shit looked fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It sounded great and it fucking looked great too.
It made me wonder, like, in applying to, everyone knows about KyoAni as like the landmark studio for anime in terms of like workers' rights and all of that. It did make me wonder. On the other hand, you have Ufotable. What the fuck do you have to do to apply there? Like, I'm sure getting into KyoAni is super hard. Applying to fucking Ufotable must be hard as fuck too.
I don't know.
Like
Maybe.
your like whatchamacallit, not profile. Fuck.
Portfolio.
Yeah, portfolio. Your portfolio has to be like fucking stacked with like water physics demonstrations drawn by hand and shit like that. Like, it's got to be out of this world fucking hard to get into Ufotable.
I don't think the water they were using is drawn though. I think.
Oh no, in this it's definitely not.
Yeah.
But I'm more talking about like in terms of you have to like demonstrate like how smoothly you
Okay.
can do animation by hand.
Oh, here's a
Like
fun
water,
fact.
like
Oh,
water physics is probably hard as fuck to do by hand.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm not an animator, so I can't.
Yeah,
say.
I'm not an animator, so I've
I
got
would
no
assume
idea.
so.
I would assume so, but I've got no idea. But yeah, in this show, they're definitely doing
Yeah.
CGI water effects to kind of give it an otherness feel. It works, so I'm not gonna
Well, I
be
think
mad at it.
I think they flip flop between the two. Sometimes it's drawn, or maybe even like traced over. But like I think it flips between being CGI and not being CGI, depending on like what the drawing focus on.
Okay.
But to your point about like applying to animation studios, I think back in like the 40s for Disney, one of the tests you had to like do in order to get hired was that you had to draw Mickey Mouse the same as everybody else. Because the way they work is basically what guy A like works on frame 1, guy B works on frame 2, and if nothing, and their Mickey Mouses have to look essentially identical, or otherwise it just looks weird when you actually see it moving. So yeah, it's a little fun fact.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But anyways, on to episode 20 for Demon Slayer. Unless you wanted to say anything more about episode 19.
Well, I was gonna say that after having watched it, and it did look fucking visually amazing, I then went and read the chapter to kind of compare them. Holy fuck, did they add, like, to the nth degree, this fucking, just the making of this show? It just made it so much better. Like,
Okay.
even in the manga, it was like, it was a couple pages, I think, was the whole fire breathing section. It was pretty cool. This, like, the whole whatever 3 minute, 4 minute
It's about
section
5 minutes.
with the fire breathing,
Yeah,
it was about 5 minutes.
yeah, from flashback all the way to Nezuko and Tanjiro slicing off the head of Spider Kid.
It was fucking. It just added it. It just added into like the nth degree. It made it so fucking awesome.
Yeah, because there's like I think a 30-minute section where there's like no cut, and he's like doing the little flips in the dance and cutting up the threads, and that's like entirely one single fucking shot, like running through the forest. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. So, I mean, on the side of the mangaka, I know that she loved seeing this animated,
Yeah.
but it's got to be like to the next level. Like, I don't think you could probably put into words how cool it has to be to see your own work done like this fucking amazingly. So, fucking shout out to her and her awesome work and the whole Ufotable staff for that episode.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So after that tough battle, Tanjiro is beginning to crawl over to Nezuko to make sure she's all right. You know, of course, as siblings do. And Spider Kid's like, "Yo, I'm not dead yet. I'm still alive. I cut off my own head." Which I guess is fair. We did see that before with the girl, where he cuts off her head and she's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you know, the rule that the steel has to cut off her head. So, all right, makes sense. But as we noted before, Gyu was going to show up and save them.
Yeah.
So he shows up and is able to cut up the threads, you know, easy peasy. Later on in the episode, he uses the 11th water form to just walk up to him and kill him. And that's kind of that little section.
Yeah. The perfect calm. The perfect calm section was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of built up how strong Q is in terms of, like, his strength with the perfect calm.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of those, it's a form that we've never seen Tanjiro whip out, and how surprised he was. I get the feeling it might not be something Tanjiro is able to perform yet.
I just thought he didn't know about it. He was like, "There's an 11th form?"
No, he may also just not know about it. That's true. I couldn't tell if it was, I don't know about it, this is 11th form, or like, oh my god, the 11th form? I could never pull that off.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. We'll see next time, hopefully. Or maybe.
I mean, next time we're going to have an unconscious Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tanjiro, and Nezuko being, like, carted off into the little inn again.
Well, I'm assuming we're just going to, like, skip through that.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
It's also, it's called, fuck, I forget what they said at the end. It's
what?
like Against the Corpse Rules or something like that is what the next episode is going to be called.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming, like, somebody is going to get brought to trial, and the most egregious is Tanjiro and his demon sister. So I'm assuming they're going on trial.
Okay.
For, you're a demon, and you, Tanjiro, are not killing the demon, your sister. So I'm pretty sure that now that we have, you know, the higher-ups in the Demon Slayer Society as Butterfly Girl, and ostensibly Q, but he already knew about it.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming Butterfly Girl is going to have some shit to say about that.
We'll see. I love
We'll see.
Butterfly Girl, by the way.
She's pretty solid.
We also get the the perspective of Spider Sister, who's, you know, running through the forest ready to fight whoever she sees. She sees one of the kids. From one of the episodes before, one of the like little Mizu, whatever, the first level kids.
Yeah, the red shirts.
Yeah, the red shirt. And puts him in a little ball. And basically is about to kill him. And
yeah, she puts him in a cocoon sack, basically. And then she's going to, like, melt him alive. But then we get Butterfly Girl.
Yes, before this, though, I think we get a flashback, don't we? I forget if it's...
That was before all of that.
It was? Oh.
The really long flashback? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh.
That was before we saw running through the trees.
Well, regardless.
It starts off with a really long flashback about their backstory.
Basically, her backstory is that she was kind of a weak demon. She shows up. Spider Kid's like, "Hey, if you drink my blood and become, you know, part of my family, I'll protect you." And she's like, "All right. I have no real other choice." So
look at me. I'm Jesus. Yeah. Drink my blood. Eat of my body. Flesh of my flesh.
Yeah.
He's also Tupac.
Yes. So she, like, becomes quasi friends with one of the other elder sister girls, And the elder sister girl, the other one, kind of comes up with a scheme to run away when the kid is off, meeting with fucking what's his face, Michael Jackson.
Because the one like sort of recurring theme of this flashback is
Abuse.
while it's the abuse and the fact that while Spider Kid is saying they're a family, it's actually more just all pretend.
Yes.
Because even they're like, we're all gonna sit down and have dinner together, they're just sitting at empty bowls of nothing.
Yes.
So it's weird. It's real weird right now.
I don't think I think that this is following vampire rules where they can't eat human food.
Oh yeah, probably.
I've been watching What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show,
Uh-huh.
and they pull that joke a bunch of times.
They all sit down for dinner and have nothing.
No, they eat like a French fry and just start throwing up
Oh,
because
okay.
they can't eat human food.
Okay.
But
I mean, they could have like chunks of human meat, but whatever. Anyways,
yeah.
so we organize escape plan with younger sister or
Yeah.
older sister. I
think
couldn't tell.
she's an elder sister.
Okay, an elder sister.
I don't know if she's elder than the other girl. Who knows? Even then, like
knows?
the ages are also fucked up because we saw that the mom isn't actually like a mom-aged lady.
Yeah.
She's a little kid.
She's a little kid who,
That was sad.
because of the weird mutation blood, is now an old lady.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to find out what the fuck Spider Dad actually is, because something's wrong with him.
It's a baby.
God, that would be unfortunate and believable.
Yeah. But regardless, the two sisters run away, but Spider Kid shows up, and the sister that we know right now immediately just says, "Cool, it was all her fault. Fucking kill her," and so she dies.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure the implication of this was that
the
sister sold her out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Immediately
well, not immediately betrayed her in the past.
Sorry, had already betrayed her.
Yeah, had immediately once the new sister told the flashback sister about the plan to escape, flashback sister immediately went to Spider Boy and was like, "Yo, there's an escape plan. I'm gonna lead her into a trap. You be on the road." And so when she pulls up on Spider Boy, that's when she reveals her true colors and crosses over to Spider Boy's side.
And then she gets strung up on a little house they live in, and she dies in the sun.
Yep.
And then we have Butterfly Girl and Flashback Girl's fight, where Butterfly Girl uses like a weird katana, which is basically only a needle.
Pretty much.
Essentially dipped in poison, and then just poisons the Spider Girl, and she dies.
Yeah, because we learned that Butterfly Girl, despite looking super nice and sounding like she wants to be friends and, talking about like how everything's going to be super cheery and awesome and wonderful. By the way, I'm going to torture you for all the people you've killed.
Yes.
Fuck, damn, that was dark.
I love her so much.
You've eaten at least 80 people. I'll have to gut you for every person you've eaten so we could be friends.
Yep.
Bitch, motherfucker, we could never be friends if you gut me 80 times.
At least she gave Spider-Girl an out. At least tell the truth. And I might be more lenient, is what she was implying with.
I don't think she was willing to be more lenient. It was more just tell the truth and tell the truth.
Tell the truth and get stabbed, or tell the truth, or don't tell the truth and get stabbed again.
Yeah, get stabbed twice.
Yeah, but that's basically Spider-Girl. She could be awesome.
It was basically the ultimate in bad when it comes to your parents, where they're like, tell me what you did. And it's like, okay, clearly we both know what I did. So I could either tell you what I did and get punished, and I've now admitted to being an idiot, or I can say nothing and I'll get slapped twice, once for the thing you already know I did wrong, and a second time for not telling you.
Exactly.
Or I could lie, and there's like 4 or 5 slaps involved in that. So, like, it's just one of those situations where you're like, I don't know what the right thing to say is.
Yeah.
Just get it over with. Just go straight to punishment on me. I don't want to tell you about what I did wrong. Just punish me for it.
And so there you have it. That was episode 20. We're going to have a trial next episode. And we'll see how that goes. But so far, our main boys are in a bad way.
Yeah.
In a super bad way. Tanjiro is most definitely has a bunch of broken bones again. Inosuke has a concussion.
A broken face.
Zenitsu is half spider. Getting better, but half spider nonetheless.
At least half spider. Who knows how his body is doing? He could be like up to 3/4 spider.
Yeah. He's having like a cravings for flies.
Yeah, basically. So we're gonna find out, what's going on with him soon.
Exactly.
And we'll find out. Maybe they have some sort of like super demon slayer medicine for them, or maybe they're fucked.
I
Who
think they're just gonna
knows?
be like, hey, you guys, go to the hot spring for a minute and come back. You'll be fine.
It's gonna be like the medicine baths in Wanted. They're just gonna like be buried underneath them, and they're just gonna come up through the walls completely healthy at the end.
Possibly. Who knows?
Okay, we're gonna see. Seeing as how it's medieval Japan, I feel like they're just gonna be like, we're just gonna put you in bed and hope you don't
Not
die.
medieval Japan. We've talked about Sonic. There's cars and electricity.
Oh,
This
right,
is at
there is
least
electricity.
this is at least
I keep
1900s.
I keep forgetting about
Yeah,
that.
at least early 1900s or late 1890s.
Because they spend so much time in the country, and it's all like rice farmers and shit and fucking
Okay, Nick,
kimonos.
we've like driven through the heartland of America. It's mostly just corn as well.
Yeah, you're
Like,
right.
There's definitely a reason why there's like cities and rural areas, or why they look very different sometimes. But anyway,
The difference is I didn't see people out there with like scythes in Heartland America.
that's true. They would be there with a tractor. With a tractor they can't even fucking fix. Shout out to
They would be there. They would be out there realistically. Well, some of those corn farms were kind of small, but the really big ones would probably have fucking tractors that drive themselves.
Yes, which brings me to my point. Those farmers should be allowed to modify their own tractors because they fucking bought them. Fuck John Deere.
Yeah, fuck John Deere.
And so that brings us technology.
Technology.
Brings us to our next show, Dr. Stone.
Dr. Stone. No technology.
Well, technology is a big part of it. They're trying to do shit about it.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
And we get a continuation of the last episode's scene, which is the survival of Senku, kind of.
I mean, it is the survival of Senku.
Yeah, sorry. I was getting confused with his survival of, like, the head thing versus his survival of, like, the start when he wakes up.
I mean, okay, yeah. Kind of both.
Yeah. Essentially, we see Senku still, in the flashback, getting trying to get himself managed, trying to establish himself as best as he can alone.
And he pretty much immediately figures out,
he needs help.
I can't do this alone.
Yeah, he needs help. He needs some fucking muscle.
Yeah.
And he manages to locate Taiju because, he kind of knows the orientation of when he was, looking at him, and, I
don't think it has anything to do with that. I don't think he went off specifically for Taiju. He was just like, when I woke up, there was a big ass arm next to me.
Oh.
I'm gonna uncover that thing, and it just happened to be his friend.
I think he said it was going to be Taiju, or like he knew it was going to be.
Oh,
him.
maybe he did. I can't say you're wrong, and so I'm willing to say you're right. But I do remember at least part of his reasoning was just there's an arm next to me. He may have said,
Okay.
and that arm probably belongs to my friend, and I just wasn't paying attention. But part of the reasoning was just there was that arm next to me, and it was big and muscly, which I can respect.
Yeah. Along with this, he's also starting to like try to come up with theories as to like what actually happened with this phenomenon. Like, was it fucking aliens? Was it like a government thing? Or I think they show North Korea.
I think so.
I forgot what the last one was. Like, if it was just happened, I think was what.
Virus.
Virus. That's what it was. Yes, virus.
That's what it was. It was a virus, and then it just shows the wave as a wave of the virus for some reason.
No.
No.
And then we finally cut back to the present, where Senku finally wakes up from death. As Taiju and Senku both like Taiju, and then Senku's like Senku, or Senku's yelling Taiju, and Taiju's yelling Senku. Wake up,
Brother!
We're brother ladies.
We're brother ladies. I need you. And then Senku wakes up.
Yes,
Kind of.
he wakes up enough. He's like,
I did also. We kind of glossed over all of Senku as in his scientific. I'm trying to figure out how to fix my friend ways.
Yes.
I did love that, like, he basically edgelord wrote E=mc² on his collar out of, like, I must remember this. And he wrote it in blood. What a fucking edgelord.
I feel like if he wanted to be super edgelordy, he would have written out the full formula.
I mean, yeah, you're probably right, but,
Also, I don't think blood will, like, stain leather.
Probably not.
Right? Okay.
Realistically.
If, whatever, who cares?
Who cares?
For whatever reason, it's on there now, somehow.
But we cut back to the present day of our show at the very least.
The trio's back together, and they start off with the little banter.
Yeah.
And they begin to contemplate, you know, the power of the stone, like what it can do. Because now we've seen that it can repair like the surrounding parts of the stone. So like since his neck was broken, and you know there was just a piece of this stone on his neck, it was able to heal it completely and bring him back to life. Because Senku was legit dead before this.
Yeah, Senku straight up had a broken neck. And so apparently the stone has some sort of like...
It is a doctor stone.
Yeah, it's a doctor stone. It regenerates your body internally, I guess.
Yeah. And this kind of comes back to our point about like, you know, can you like put pieces of a person back together and then wake them up that way? Because I think we see that Senku tried this, but it didn't work. But he gets another idea, which he tells Yuzuri about, but we as an audience like don't know what he told her.
Yeah.
But I think it has something to do with clay, because like she's very good with crafts and stuff, so that's what I'm thinking. But I don't know.
Right. I was trying to figure it out too.
Right.
In my brain, all I could come up with was she's going to somehow stitch the stone together, and I'm like, on the one hand, I'm an idiot for thinking this. On the other hand, I can literally think of nothing else.
Clay.
Clay makes a lot more sense, though. I did not think of that for some reason.
But anyways, then Taichi both Yuzuri get a secret mission, and that is to infiltrate Tsukasa's nation. Because Tsukasa now thinks that Senku's dead. So
the assumption is that because they believe that Senku is dead, Tsukasa will be more willing to accept the two of them.
Yeah, because they have nowhere else to really go. At least to Senku's idea, or to Tsukasa's knowledge.
Tsukasa's knowledge, exactly. And in his, you know, desire to create a new nation, he's probably going to want two teenagers. So he's probably going to be willing to accept them as the theory, so they send them off as spies.
Yep.
But before they leave, Yuzuriha finds a piece of leather and decides that it looks like a spaceship with stars and gives it to Senku as the flag of their science nation.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's good enough. I like it.
It's kind of okay.
But no,
I'm kind of hoping they like at some point make an actual flag with a spaceship on it, but who knows?
Maybe. Senku's not gonna have time for that.
Senku's not gonna have time. When they get Yuzuriha back, maybe, because their current one kind of looks sort of shitty, realistically.
Yeah, it's kind of blots on the fucking.
It's realistically they picked up a piece of leather with some stains on it. They were like, let's make this a flag. Yep. So really hoping they decide to go back and actually make a real flag, but we'll see.
Yeah. So as they like start to part ways, right before they finally see each other, they wave each other, or before they they don't see each other again for a long time. Taiju heads over to this peak of this hill he's at and gives him the old Fantastic Mr. Fox fist raise.
Yeah,
that they do with the wolf and the fox.
Well, specifically, they're both doing the I'm a manly man thing, and they're just walking away from each other. And Yuzuriha makes some comment of, "Wow, it's real,
stoic here.
Stoic of you two to just not acknowledge this, huh?" And Taiju, overcome with emotions, I can't. And so he runs back and does the Fantastic Mr. Fox fist raise.
I was really hoping to do a JD and Turk bro hug, and then just leave. That's what I was hoping for. I didn't get that.
I mean, they were several cliffs away from each other.
Yeah, but Taiju could jump.
Yeah, it's true.
He's in the stone world. But finally, they head off. I don't know when the fuck we're gonna see them again. But essentially,
who knows?
Taiju and Yuzuriha are now out of the show.
Yeah,
for
basically.
What we know.
Basically, we've kicked them out in favor of our new cast of characters who could actually contribute, is basically what happened.
And we were introduced to this girl, blonde ponytail girl, whose name is Kohaku.
Yes.
Kohaku finds Tsukasa, which is exactly what Senku didn't want. He was really hoping that Tsukasa wasn't going to find, whoever made those fires. Because this is, a show and a story. Of course, it has to happen. But luckily for us, as a viewer, and as being on Senku's side, Kohaku doesn't really like Tsukasa, and they start fighting each other.
Yeah. Well, specifically, it's not just that Senku didn't want Tsukasa to find whoever was out there making fires, because he thought, Tsukasa would be able to get them on their side.
Yeah.
Little did he know that the person who was out there was watching what went down and is now hunting Tsukasa. So it's no longer possible for Tsukasa to kind of make her an ally. They're now enemies for life. She wants to kill him. That's her goal right now.
That is her goal, and she does not complete it because Tsukasa just breaks down a tree and pins her under it.
Yeah.
And then he just runs away. So now she is under a tree.
She is stuck under a tree. Also, the one useful thing we do learn in this, though, is that apparently there are other revived human beings, and she is not the first generation of revived human beings. She is
Yes.
somewhere down the line of people born from revived human beings.
Mm-hmm.
But she's stuck under a tree, and
Then Senku shows up, uses some pulleys
Senku
to
sees
get
the
her up.
dust cloud and decides, I'm gonna save you. How am I gonna save you? And she's like, take your time. And so he builds a pulley system because trees are heavy as fuck, yo.
So this reminds me of that one joke from Archer when Pam is trying to get Archer out of the quicksand in Danger Island, where the main issue isn't like whether you can get them out, it's how strong the rope is. Which, like, the rope in this case would not be strong enough to like lift up the log, even if you're using pulleys, I think. But
Yeah,
whatever.
probably.
Regardless,
I mean,
she gets out, and that's all we really care about.
He did lash it like a couple times around the base of the log, so maybe he's trying to like fix it. And he built some sort of like connector knot, so it's like kind of connected like 2 to 3 different points along the log. So maybe he spread out the force enough. You're right, realistically, it probably would have ripped back in the day, but it's hard to say for certain unless we actually tried to fucking build a log out of medieval or prehistoric rope.
Hey, is that a video idea right there?
No. Do you want to go fucking braid rope for a month just to test it?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, maybe it is a video.
I've done
Actually,
more
let's
for
phrase
less.
it this way. It is a video idea. It's not one we'll ever do.
Anyways, she gets out. That's the end of that episode, and immediately kind of funnels into this next episode, which is right after this scene, where she's finally out.
She's finally out, and she leads in with, I kind of am interested in you. To which Senku's like, ew, no, gross.
You gotta buy me dinner first.
You have to be useful in at least 3 experiments before I'll be interested in you.
But Hoku's like, I didn't mean that. I just meant you're interesting. Which, fair enough.
Yeah.
But they spend, the night together around a fire, because they're still in the forest, and, they don't have time.
They're in the middle of the forest,
Yeah.
and they can't build a fucking house out of nothing, so they just build a fire and go to sleep.
Yep.
Which, by go to sleep, it really means Senku tries to go to sleep, and she sits against a tree with her knives out because Senku made a mention about relationships, and therefore she must defend her honor.
Yes.
Which, I mean, in the prehistoric world, I can kind of understand.
Yeah, it's not a very good time to be a woman.
It's not a
any
great
moment in
time to be a
time.
woman. At any moment in time, it's basically not a good time to be a woman. But yeah.
Uh,
So she understandably sleeps with her knives out, and Senku's like, "You know, gross ladies, I wouldn't touch you.
You're not a robot.
You're neither a robot nor are you a science textbook. I don't want to get inside you."
You are not a science. The next day, Gohaku picks up, some hot spring water, and she tells Senku about her ailing sister, who we meet later on. He tries to help her out, but, he's a fucking weakling, and immediately drops the water. So
Yes.
he uses...
Also, she collects a fuck ton of water, though. She
She's
collects
strong
like
shit.
fucking 50 liters or something, I think he said.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's 50 liters she needs for the bath, but, like, she does it over time.
Well, no, she needs more for the bath. I think he says the jar is 50 liters.
Oh, okay. Then never mind. Regardless, it's fucking heavy.
Yeah.
And she's a gorilla monster.
A gorilla monster.
She's an ogre.
Yeah. Because, again, we have yet another lady who is going to be called a monster several times and be offended about it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because we're making that same joke in Fire Force.
I completely forgot that was a joke in this show, too. I kind of just, glazed over it.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean,
anyways.
they only make it once at the end. I'm assuming it's going to come up several more times.
They make it a couple times where she gets called, a leopard and shit. But that's
Oh,
the
yeah,
that's
lioness.
the latter half. Yeah. Which, I like how they say lioness in Japanese, which is just take both syllables and flip them, so it's just nest lion.
Yeah.
A little weird. I wonder how that happened. What steps in linguistics took lioness to become nest lion in Japan? I want to know the history behind it, because it's just so interesting.
It is kind of a weird one.
But anyways, Senku, because, he's such a weakling, he decides to MacGyver his pulley system into a cart and, use smarts. Work harder, not smarter. Sorry. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And they
I'm
use
assuming, going back to the Linus thing really
yeah,
quickly, I'm assuming it's like a effect of the Japanese linguistic system, because if I remember correctly, the way the sentence in Japanese is usually laid out is that you state a thing and then you state you state the modifiers and then
first.
the thing that they're modifying onto.
Okay,
So you would state, like, in the case of lioness, you would state ness,
because it's a
a
woman,
lady thing,
or because it's a
onto
feminine.
lion,
Yeah. Okay.
modifying onto lion. I'm assuming, I don't have a firm grasp of the Japanese language, and this is just something that I vaguely remember reading at one point, but I think that's what it is.
Fuck
And
it.
that, or I'm thinking that's how Japanese is laid out, so that might be why it's that way.
I'll
I don't
believe
know.
it.
That's my guess, though.
That's good as guess as any.
But yeah, so Senku MacGyver's his cart
Yeah, they get
out of fucking bamboo and pulleys.
yeah, the old play system, and they finally get to the little village. So we have here the introduction of Gohoku's buddies, Jinro and Kinro, which I think is gold and silver, or some pun in gold and silver.
Yeah.
And-
It's definitely gold and
Yeah.
silver.
And they don't let Senku pass because he's an outsider, and outsiders aren't allowed in because he was like one of the banished or whatever.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to get some more insight into that later on. And like
The outsiders are earlier. I can't
Yeah.
string words together right now. They say that all outsiders were criminals who had been banished
Yeah.
or related to criminals who had been banished. So clearly, there's some weird history going down with this village.
not history, but like I believe it's going to be like some weird mythology that has risen.
Yeah. It's also, I'm getting the feeling it's real culty up in here.
Do you? I don't think so just yet.
I mean, it's not like super culty. It's not like, Jonestown
Jonestown.
murder cult, but it's more, the obsession with we can't allow outsiders in and stuff like that is like the beginning flavors of a cult.
Okay.
It's Jonestown light. It's Jonestown without the Kool-Aid and slightly more just singing in a circle.
I feel like that was just most like smaller villages in history, though. They just wouldn't allow outsiders in.
I don't know I don't know enough
I
about
don't know
the history of small villages, but I feel like the fucking we can't even allow villager or outsiders in for any reason ever is probably not a huge thing.
Possibly because it's also because they don't know him. There might be outsiders they do let in because they know them.
Maybe.
We'll see. We're gonna get more.
We'll see.
We're definitely gonna get more into like how their culture has developed and works in later episodes.
Yeah.
But in order to like wow, Jinder and Kinro, Mr. Stone or Mr. Stone,
Mr.
Senku
Stone.
uses Dr. Stone to blow some fucking bubbles because it's soap, and
Yep.
that freaks them the fuck out because bubbles. What the fuck are they?
How do they work?
Yep. And then Rival shows up. I completely forgot his name.
Chrome.
It is Chrome.
His name is Chrome.
Right, because they're all named after not materials, but
Metals?
Metals. Not metals. Wait, is it metals?
Chrome is not an element, Brandon.
Not. I didn't mean elements, but I meant like just I don't know what else I could call it. But I guess the close thing is metals, or like earthly things. Because I think some of them, like Jasper, isn't a metal. It's oh my god,
A rock.
it's a rock. Yeah, they're all named after things that you would mine in Monster Hunter. That's the only way I can put it.
Okay. I guess I
Right.
understand what you're saying.
And it's okay because they also reference Monster Hunter in this episode. So
They do
this
reference
makes
Monster
sense.
in this episode.
But anyways, Chrome shows up, and he challenges Senku into a sorcery duel because science doesn't exist anymore; it's sorcery now.
Well, yes, they're a prehistoric civilization, Brandon. Science isn't a thing to them.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's the point I'm making.
Okay, you were saying in that condescending tone of like science doesn't exist. It's like, well, yes, they're a prehistoric civilization. It's all sorcery to them. Fucking earlier they were talking about like they were summoning the ire of the mountain when they were talking about the explosion.
Well, mostly because it was beginning to bellow or with the black smoke, so they thought it was going to erupt.
Yeah.
But
So
anyways,
clearly these are not a people who have like a memory or a living relative who was a real human being. These are people who are several generations removed from a human
Nick,
being.
they're the clear the land, morons. So once they set the sorcery duel, Chrome uses like differently changing color, flame colors with by using little metal dust and element dust to throw at the fire, and that kind of changes the way it changes colors. and then uses also like a ball of sulfur for static electricity. And then he also tries to use math to beat Senku, which he fails in every single one of them. Because Senku describes, what the color changing thing is, does some cooler shit with the static electricity, because he uses the leather instead of just his hands, and then, math. He just knows math.
He just,
arithmetic.
He's better at math.
Yeah. So
we don't actually see the math duel. He just is implied to have kicked the shit out of him in math.
Yeah. And then, Chrome doesn't win. That was the end of that. Because he doesn't win, Senku inherits the cottage outside of the village and all the materials inside, which Chrome has basically spent his entire life collecting, because, kids just like collecting shit, which is... It's the logic they give, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Kids just like to find shit. And they just start to bro out about all the stuff he has. Senku bros out, or Senku, freaks out because, he's essentially... now he just doesn't have to look for all this shit himself. He just has it now. He can, start experiments. And Chrome likes...
It's basically the story going, we don't want to spend several chapters of Senku going out and finding this shit and mining it, so we're just going to give it all to him now.
We're not... This isn't Senku plays Minecraft.
Exactly. Other than, I'm assuming, 1 to 2, major components per development, most of the things are just going to be given to him through this hut.
Yeah. During this part, though, Chrome also tells... once again, it gives some more information as to what's going on with the village girl, with the village ruler, I think she is. And that she's sick, and he needs to find a way to, make some medicine for her. And he's tried, all these herbs and mushrooms and shit, and nothing has really worked. So Senku decides, I'm going to help her out. I'm going to make penicillin.
Yeah.
Wait, antibiotics. Sorry, antibiotics.
Well, yeah, he specifically just says antibiotics.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's going to make penicillin. I don't also know a huge amount about antibiotics, so I don't know what other options there are.
He just needs some cantaloupes. He needs to make them rot. Also, a specific type of cantaloupe. That's all I know about penicillin.
I'm assuming he's going for one of the illins. I'm not hoping. Well, I guess it is best to say I'm hoping. I'm hoping that it's going to be like amoxicillin or something. He's going to step it up the next level above penicillin.
He's actually just going to create morphine and just, just
mellow her out. He's
going
to get them hooked on opiates.
Yeah, he's just going to mellow her out and boom, done. Also, I like how he just goes straight to antibiotics, even though we don't know what's wrong with her. She could just have a cough.
Cough due to cold.
Yeah. And, she just needs to wait.
I mean, she could, but we also have seen Kohaku, and she said she's been carrying that thing that medicinal jug full of water for her sister for a while now. So I'm assuming it's been longer than, a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming, yeah, it's either a bacteria or she has a virus, in which case she's fucked. So yes. I'm assuming that antibiotics is, the best option that Senku can reasonably make.
I watched I was listening to an episode of Lore recently, and it was about parasites.
Ooh.
Yeah, that shit got me. I was hungry, and while I was listening to it, I was like, I guess I'm not really that hungry anymore. But 10 minutes after listening to it, I just began eating just a bunch of pork. Completely forgetting what I just listened to. I think he talks about hookworms, mostly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And this other different type of parasite. I forgot what it was called. This
tapeworms?
Not tapeworm. It didn't have anything to do with pork. But pork just carries a lot of parasites sometimes. But there was this one specific moment in history with this one explorer who was exploring Africa. And on the coast there was this parasite which would be carried by flies. And if it infected you, the parasite would slowly make its way to your brain and then just make you super drowsy and super sleepy and just make you comatose and just you would die in your sleep. You'd basically just not be able to think for 2 weeks, and then suddenly you're just asleep, dying.
Okay.
And what happened was when he was starting his exploration, his party began getting infected by these flies, and then it began spreading throughout basically all of Africa because these flies would infect his members. The members would, keep going in further inland into Africa. The fly that was host of the parasite would, attack them. They'd then go out to the neighboring villages and attack, and then hit them. And it just, left this wake of, just comatose people, throughout Africa. I
Uh
forgot who it was, but eventually this also led to the Belgians coming up and creating the Belgian Congo, which we all know how that went.
huh.
So, not a good time to be in Africa.
I don't think what you're talking about is a parasite.
I thought it was a parasite. He said it was a parasite.
I think you're talking about African sleeping sickness, which is a disease.
Yeah, he said it was a parasite.
Well, he's wrong.
Oh, well.
It is spread by flies,
It was
but it's
spread
a
by fly.
disease.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, regardless.
African trypanosomiasis is an infectious disease.
Oh.
African sleeping sickness.
Well. Okay, then.
I mean, he may be talking about something else,
I'm
but
pretty sure
there
it's
is a
exactly
disease
that.
called African sleeping sickness,
No,
which
I'm pretty
sounds
sure it was that.
very familiar, which is disease, not a parasite.
Well, anyways. Diseases suck.
Oh yeah, diseases suck. Parasites are fucking awful. Either of those would not be curable with antibiotics, but I'm assuming it's going to be a bacteria.
Yep. Oh, if we're still in Dr. Stone, I wonder how they're going to deal with parasites. Because there's one way to deal with tapeworm, and that's to cut your thigh open and then drag that shit out of it.
Oh no, stop, please, no, why? Oh fuck, I hate like worms, dude.
It's not fun.
No, stop. We gotta move on. Worms
Fire
are
Force.
icky.
Fire kills everything, Nick. Don't worry.
Good, yes. Burn that shit out of my veins.
So, Fire Force.
Fucking, I'd light myself on fire before I dealt with worms.
Yeah. So we've got this like cool little mini arc, which is the attack on the 5th district. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which covers this episode and next episode.
5 and 6.
Yep, 5 and 6. I was wrong about 6 and 7 last time, but whatever. Which starts off with the sister, kind of thinking back.
Yeah,
to her
Iris
time
just
at the
shows up at section
I
5.
thought her name was Lily.
No, her name's Iris.
I wrote it Lily, but yeah, that makes sense. Iris makes sense. Okay, anyways, Iris doesn't show up just yet at the 5th. First, she's like performing that ritual where she's like cleaning herself with the water.
We always see that in the ending, so I forgot that was in
Yeah.
actual 5 now. In the actual show, I mean.
But Shinra shows up and they have an awkward exchange. For the show that like does a bunch of like fan service stuff, I'm surprised like they didn't freak out about it. Shinra like is kind of reacts normally. Where he's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to see you like that." And this is like, "Oh, it's okay." She puts a little like robe on and they just talk for a little bit, and they move on. So that was kind of weird. But anyways, we have a small training session with the gang first, where Shinra is listening to basically the captain fucking doing his weird ass balancing ball technique where he's just has a bunch of weights and everything, along with the lieutenant talking. The entire time this is happening, by the way, Arthur really wants to kill a little bird.
Yeah,
some
Arthur
reason.
really wants to kill birds on a water tower. Fucking Shinra just chats with Maki for a while, and Iris doesn't pay attention. And it ends with Shinra getting shot, if I remember.
Yes, by Lieutenant. Lieutenant then does he talks about the mechanics of his gun, which comes into play a little bit later. But like he can essentially control how hard it shoots, so he can make it non-lethal.
Because he, just like Maki, is a second generation, so they can't create fire, but they can use fire.
Yeah. But then, while Maki and Arthur are having a little fight, a little not it's not a fight, but they're dueling, right? Yeah.
Pretty much, they're sparring.
Sparring. That's the word I'm looking for. The lieutenant talks to Shinra about Hibana, and how all the shit she gets up to, all of her research on the Infernals, and how she's not sharing her findings, which was alluded to in episode before. And while this is, while they're giving that talk, we actually see Hibana torturing the Infernal and doing something to it. We don't know what it is. She's just like poking and prodding him away.
It looks extremely sexual.
Sexual, and it looks like it really fucking hurts.
By which I mean she's basically on top of him and then is shoving large hot pokers into his chest. So if you get off to that, it's real sexual. Otherwise,
to be fair,
she's basically just torturing him.
If it's large hot pokers, he might like it because it is heat.
It is true. He is a fire demon.
He might like the heat. He might not like the big ass metal thing going through his chest, though.
Yeah.
But
because
I don't know.
And she's also not exactly
judge.
very gently like moving it. She's like full on jerking that shit around. So
That's the
she's
only
probably
way to do
tearing
it.
his chest up.
Anyways, the sister prays a little bit, and then leaves for Hibana's base of operations at the 5th district. Shinra tries to find out more about the sister while he and Arthur are about to go to sleep. But it's interrupted by Maki asking them where the fuck is the sister? Where the fuck is Iris? Because she's missing. And so they're gonna head off and go do that. At the fifth, Iris is talking with Hibana, and they have an argument about the ethics of researching the Infernals, and basically the way she's doing it. And Hibana assaults Iris, and then basically burns her clothes away, and then just
Because if we haven't already established that Hibana is into some freaky shit, she's clearly into humiliation too, because she burns off almost all of Iris's clothes, except for just enough to protect all of the important stuff.
Yes.
So she clearly is into some freaky shit, but throws her coat on top of Iris, and then proceeds to go and collect a new one from her fucking coat closet, I assume.
Her coat closet. The closet is actually just a guy, probably. Just holding up the coats. Yeah.
It's a human being just off screen who has to run and give her a new coat every single time, probably, yeah.
It's the kid from I Want to Put Your Panties On.
The closet.
Yep. Anyways, we also find out that Hibana is very not religious anymore. She thinks, even though the 5th district is a big part of the church, she no longer likes the church. She thinks it's fucking useless and just a complete lie.
Yeah.
The 5th is part of the church, right? I forget if the 5th is the church or the company.
They're the science one.
The science one. Okay, so they are the company.
Yeah.
Okay. I got that mixed up.
But I mean, the firefighting force is sort of like a religious institution as a whole.
Well, what I'm saying is that there's one specific district that is more aligned with the church than the rest of them.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what district that is, but I don't think
that might be the first one, actually.
You might be right.
I don't think we know yet.
I mean, I don't think we know.
We'll see.
It's definitely not this one, though. She was more corporate. Because she talks about how she basically sold out to the corporation so she can get her captainship.
She sold out in the next episode. Well,
in the next episode.
But outside, the gang shows up to find Iris. Shinra goes off ahead because he's the fastest, while Maki, the lieutenant, and Arthur are covering him. Yeah. Basically, this part can be summed up to the lieutenant just fires his gun at everybody.
Yes. And there was a workplace shooting. If this was in America, this would all be a black screen.
No, at least we don't censor it.
I mean, would we though?
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, it's just
well, who knows?
It's just not a thing in American TV for something like this to happen.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say whether or not this would be censored or not, but I get the feeling that if this was an American TV show, that whole...
I think it's goofy enough where it wouldn't be censored.
You might be right.
Because,
the lieutenant running through the thing with fucking 2 Uzis, though, was very, ugh. It's a touchy subject in America, put it mildly.
They were rubber bullets, Nick. It's okay.
They were rubber bullets. That's how they get away with it.
Yeah.
He was actually using airsoft guns.
Exactly. Arthur runs away. No, he doesn't run away, but he runs forward, similar to Shinra, to go fight someone else. After Arthur goes off, Maki and the lieutenant fight the bubblegum kid, who kind of gets him on the rope a little bit, until the lieutenant just decides to just shoot his gun up in the air, and then uses fire powers to just ricochet the guns into the room that the bubblegum kid is, and then just, spray into there and just hope it hits him. Just spray and pray. That's the definition.
Well, I got the feeling that it was more I'm just going to manipulate every piece of fire that exists to make the bullet turn. Because basically, if it hits a wall or the ground, it'll create sparks, and I can turn it.
Oh.
The only time it won't create sparks is if it hits a human being. So I'm just gonna keep it turning until it hits a person, and so eventually you'll get hit. You can't avoid it forever. Was basically the theory of that.
You could avoid it if you just walked outside the room.
Oh yeah, you could have, but then you'd be walking into the open, and it would have just got lit up by the lieutenant then.
Regardless, this kid was not in a good place, and he gets hit. Also, no one dies. No one dies in this episode.
19 times.
Yeah, no one dies.
No one dies. Well, the lieutenant pulls his punches, but he still mercilessly kicks the shit out of you.
Technically, someone does die, and that's the Infernal.
Yes. Real person or not, is arguable.
Yeah. But anyways, Arthur has to fight the Infernal, but who
has been basically weaponized.
Yes, he has a fucking Mega Man gun now. And Arthur and him duke it out for a little bit. For about five. I actually don't remember how long. But essentially, Arthur's fucking useless for some reason, and just he can't land a hit until he realizes he's using the wrong hand.
Yeah, he's been holding his sword left-handed, And he finally realizes, oh wait, I'm right-handed.
and then just instantly wins the fight after that.
Yeah, which actually went back and looked at one of the other episodes. He was actually using his sword right-handed up until this point. So this was the first time that he ever went left-handed. So there is a consistency of
I
he always uses
appreciate
his
the
right hands up to
consistency for
this.
the joke,
Right.
but it was just a very strange thing. Where
It was
he's
a
just
real
suddenly
strange
sucky.
thing. I guess it sort of ties into the fact of like, Arthur is supposed to be a little bit of an idiot
Yeah,
about pretty much everything,
and he was a bit
except for the
definitely
fact that
into
he's
this.
supposed to also be competent. Like you have to combine he's competent with he's a moron.
Yeah. Alongside that, we also get Maki off screen beating the shit out of the 15-ish 5 angels.
Threes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's multiple groups of these angels threes.
There's the fifth Angels 3, of which there are at least 12.
Yeah. And they just get the shit beat out of them by Maki, which we saw off screen, which I'm very upset about.
I mean, to be fair, we saw on screen the beating of 3 of them in the next episode, and I was less upset all of a sudden because they went down like bitches.
They did.
They took
But it's
one
not about
kick
me
to
wanting
the
to see
face.
them going down. It's about me wanting to see Maki.
That's understandable.
But anyways,
At that point, you don't talk about the fifth Angels 3. You just talk about we wanted to see more Maki,
this is very true.
and specifically more sputters.
Splinter Cell. No.
Bo 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 bo.
It has to have been a fucking reference to that show.
It had to have been
Right?
a fucking reference. I mean, the only way it could have been more of a reference
Sergeant
is if it was
Jellyjiggler?
then. It was well. Specifically, I was going to go with Don Patch, who was a son.
Oh, that was Don Patch. Don Patch was the fucking star, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Okay. Who is Sergeant Jellyjiggler?
the fucking Gumby-looking motherfucker.
Okay.
The blue thing.
Okay, yeah, I had it confused, but yeah, God, fucking Don Patch. I want to.
And then there was Gasser, and there was I don't remember what the girl's name was.
Well, anyways,
Anyways,
episode 7 starts off with Shinra hitting women.
yeah,
Next scene. Hibana
hits
then,
more women.
yeah, Hibana talks to Lily about revealing her selfish desires to be happy at all costs, because she's fucked up because of the things she's seen, which is I guess understandable. But like she now like has this twisted view of why she should be happy, because she feels like she deserves to be happy, no matter what, even if it means screwing people over. Shinra shows up and pretends to be Midoriya. He shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm the hero now. And then they kind of have duke it out together. He gets quasi heat stroke because of Ivana's ability, because she makes the air around him hotter, and that makes him super lethargic and high blood pressure or something. No, is it low blood pressure?
Low blood pressure.
Low blood pressure.
Hold on, wait, no, his veins.
Something about blood.
Fuck. I'm trying to think through it. I think your blood vessels constrict, which limit blood to the brain, so he gets heat stroke. Because there's less blood running through your brain, so your brain starts to basically choke.
That makes sense.
I mean, it is actually, she basically explains heat stroke, is what she explains. She calls it something else, but she's just explaining heat stroke.
So I was thinking, yeah, it is heat stroke. Okay.
Yeah, because your brain isn't getting as much blood as it's supposed to, and so it basically just doesn't have the energy, and so you just basically have a stroke, is what it is. So he basically gets heat stroke, and then decides,
fuck this,
I'm
still
imagining it.
Yeah. This isn't real.
I choose to live in a reality where I don't have heat stroke. And so he stands back up, which is not how heat stroke works, but whatever.
I mean, he got back up, didn't he?
I mean, yeah, but this is also a show. But anyways.
Hibana still has the upper hand at this moment. Lily tries to appeal her to her emotions, telling her about the time that they spent together at the convent, and Hibana's like, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
Who really
Hibana's
cares?
like, fine, you don't want to go down by heat stroke? I'll have you go down a different way.
Yeah.
And decides to turn into fucking, the one dude from Bleach and fucking summon the Sakura tree.
It was, oh my god. What was her name? It started with an R, didn't it?
Rukia, and I can't remember her last name.
Rukia's brother. Let's just go with that.
Rukia's brother, who also had the fucking flower petal thing, which was...
Wait, Rukia had the flower petal thing?
No, Rukia's brother did.
Okay.
His thing was he breaks his sword into a million pieces that were moving so fast they look like flowers, and now we have flames that are flowers. So they're basically the same person, is what I'm saying.
It's one of them super kinky, and the other one isn't. Well,
I don't know.
about
I can imagine that Rukia's brother got up to some weird shit.
That's possible. But anyways,
Get a lot to unwind from.
Yeah. She creates like the sakura tree and then uses like a sakura hurricane thing to beat the shit out of Shinra for a little bit.
Yeah.
But she also does mention that out of all of the sisters at the Covet, she prayed the least, implying that she like everyone else was like supposedly better than her. According if we're going by the metrics of praying for the god, everyone else was supposed to be better.
Most prayer points.
Yeah. Which comes into play a little bit in the flashback.
We get the flashback of their past, basically.
First, Shinra once again punches the shit out of another woman.
Well, no, don't we have the flashback first?
We get a small flashback, but we get the extended flashback after she gets knocked out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but Shinra
again punches a woman.
Yep. And then we get the flashback where we've got little Lily and little Habana at the church, where Habana is reenacting the Chrome scene from episode 7 of Dr. Stone, where she's using the little solutions of different mineral waters,
metal,
different stuff, minerals and shit, to change the color of her fire flowers. Lily mentioned this before, but everyone looked up to Habana. She was the eldest, and everyone really liked her. She was very amicable and fun.
Mm-hmm. And she had fire powers.
And she mentions that she's very she is a adoptive older sister to Lily, and Lily really looks up to her. We also see that this is the moment essentially where we see everyone at the church. I don't know if they became infernals, but we know they burned up.
Yeah,
but
it was hard to tell because for understandable reasons it was all blacked out. But they were all on fire and are now dead, probably.
But they didn't say they turned into infernals. They just say they burned.
They didn't. You're right. They didn't say they turned into infernals. It just says they all burned up. But the other side of that is there has to be a reason why they all burned up, and I feel like it would be a weird reason if it was just the convent just caught on fire, I guess, and they all just happened to burn up.
Yeah, something caused it, but I don't think it was Habana.
It probably wasn't Habana, and I'm willing to bet they weren't all infernals, but maybe there was one of them turned into infernal. Maybe.
Possibly.
We'll find out.
But
probably sometime later.
Yeah, this sends Habana into a spiral where she becomes even evil-ish, more selfish.
I mean, not really. She kind of just begins to have a association of fire with bad things.
Yes, and she sees herself as
fire
a devil,
powers. Yeah,
which she directly says. She figures some stuff out. She then also this is the moment where we see her selling the church secrets to the company in exchange for her getting her own captainship of the 5th district, along with a little research facility. And we also see that she still has kind of a contact up until this point with Lily. So they're still part of each other's lives for quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
After Habana wakes up, though, she's a lot more friendlier. So, what the show is telling us is if a woman's not friendly, just punch shit at her, apparently. That's gonna work.
Those are the rules.
Yeah, those are the rules. But she's a lot friendlier. She also has, a thing for Shinra now, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
Because he's a man of conviction, Brandon.
I guess so.
He stands by what he believes, so much so that he would hit a woman. What's not to love about that?
But she starts to brainstorm a way to help the 8th district. Alongside, finding out a way to kind of explain away the events that happened. And the way they say is, they have, some, dinner party where they had, a mock battle. Which I don't know how the fuck you're going to tell all of your bruised and beaten fucking employees to say, just go along with this. I know the 8th district beat the shit out of all you, but,
Well, okay. What it actually was Shinra's shitty idea.
Yeah.
Habana's idea, when she was like, okay, that's a shitty idea. Here's an idea that might actually work.
I thought she said that's a shitty idea. It's enough for it to work.
Well, she said it was sort of a silly idea, but there's a way you could make it work.
Ah, okay.
Was she added on to it that it wouldn't just be oh yeah, we're just going to tell, my bruised and beaten guys to go along with our stupid idea. She said her plan was that they were going to say that she had hired the 8th district to stage a surprise attack to test the readiness of her people.
That makes more sense.
So it was rather than having to have all of her people go along with that, they were just going to try and, at the highest level, make it look like a surprise attack instead.
All right.
Which makes more sense. It has less people. It has less people, sort of as a way of going wrong.
Yes, it requires the trust of less people, which is
Exactly.
always good, which is always important when you're trying to make a big lie.
Exactly.
That's the end of the episode. Well, we get a little scene where the captain of 8th District is like, "All right, I'm ready to, go save Lily." Or
I'm ready to head out. Let me take 9 shots of sake. And then he gets on the walkie-talkie and he's like, "I'm coming, men. Be ready for my arrival." And then presumably he gets informed that, fight's over.
Yep.
Won. So I guess that's where fucking lieutenant or captain was all this time. I feel bad for him getting left behind. I love the captain.
Yeah, he was trying to come up with the reason,
cover story.
The cover story, which Haban had already come up with.
Right.
So there you have it.
Not only is the battle over, but the cover story is also established. So the captain was worthless, unfortunately.
And that
Poor
was
captain.
Fire Force. On to Vinland Saga.
Vinland Saga. All right, I will finally say this. I have not enjoyed Vinland Saga up until the last episode and a half. I finally liked the show in the last episode and a half.
Episode and a half. So half of this episode, and then the full next episode.
The full next episode, yeah.
Okay.
Basically, once Thorfinn became like
older?
an adult.
I think still a teenager.
He's still like a teenager, but adultish, adult adjacent. I finally liked him as a character and started to enjoy the show.
Okay. Well, in this episode, we do get little Thorfinn becoming a little bit bigger Thorfinn. Where we have a quick, a view of Thorfinn's new life with the Vikings, and are immediately thrust into a history lesson of, Dark Age England and Denmark, and how they have the little squabble going on over, territory.
And the fact that Denmark likes to show up and raid their shit in England would prefer that not happen.
Yes. But essentially, the Vikings arrive in England and are greeted with a bunch of bodies strewn about the riverbank, just everywhere.
Yeah.
They land, and Thorfinn isn't accustomed to it, so he just immediately throws up, and he's completely horrified. As the Vikings make camp and start eating, Thorfinn's still not really part of that group yet, and he's kind of eating walnuts off in the distance.
Yeah.
Askeladd's making a deal with the Danes, with the not the real Danes, but the
main Danes,
the army Danes, the ones by the government, because they're even though they are Danish, they're more akin to pirates as they're described.
Yeah.
And mercenaries. So since he's a mercenary, he's trying to find work. So he tells the Danes, "Hey, I will assault the village, just so long as we get to have a bunch of this other shit." And the Danes are like, "All right, fuck it, sure." It's good enough.
Pay me money, I will kill things.
Yes. But they are attacked first. The Danes immediately die because they're they are hit with arrows through the fucking face. And in the chaos, Thorfinn finds his resolve to fight, but he's immediately knocked down by this other guy, beaten up by another dude, and then finally pinned down by this one Englishman, and he's quasi-saved by Askeladd stabbing this guy through the chest, but he also gets stabbed in his back, because Askeladd doesn't really give a shit whether Thorfinn lives or dies.
Yeah.
But luckily Thorfinn is able to survive that little shallow cut to his back, and gets into a fight with another Englishman. This time around, though, he musters up all of his little kindergarten strength and kills the Englishman.
Yep.
This comes back to the little thought experiment that we always have is how many 5-year-olds with knives can you fight?
Apparently that Englishman could fight 0.
Yep.
Because fucking, despite having a full-length sword, still got stabbed by a 5-year-old with a dagger.
Yep. Although I don't think he's actually 5, to be fair. He's probably 10-ish, I think.
Maybe, but still.
Anyway,
I feel like when you got that much of a reach advantage on him, and I feel like that dude also had a shield, he should not have gotten stabbed.
He shouldn't have, but it still happened. He was channeling his inner Thors, Nick. That's what happened.
When he gut shanked that dude? Yeah. False. Thors didn't stab anybody, as far as Thorfinn knew.
This is true. You're right. Anyways, Thorfinn, we see Thorfinn through the years, I guess, a couple years, growing up alongside the Vikings and, fighting alongside them as he grows out his hair and, becomes more Viking-ish, I guess.
Kind of. Wild man-y.
Wild man, yeah. At the end of this flash forward, we finally, at the end of this, like, montage of things, we see teenage Thorfinn being given a recon mission to head out into the forest to find a village and then signal the Vikings to, raid. And this is, like, I guess this is the second half of the episode you liked?
Yeah.
Where finally we have, bigger Thorfinn?
Yes. Once you have bigger Thorfinn and the English family and all of that, that's where it finally started to get me.
I did like their English family part, which we see a young English woman and her mother. Doing some laundry next to the riverbank, as people in those times did, and they see Thorfinn, basically strewn on this branch in the river, with arrows stuck to, I think, his back, because he gets caught out during his recon mission by a couple of Englishmen. He's able to steal one of their daggers and kill two of them and run away, but he's wounded still. The Englishwomen decide to help him out. They drag his unconscious body over to their house and, give him a place to sleep and a place, to rest up.
Yeah, they patch him back together.
Basically. What's left of him.
The daughter is less than thrilled with these decisions, but the mom is basically
the mom is a good Christian woman.
You get to shut your fucking face, daughter.
Yes. The daughter, like, they do have a little back and forth on whether or not they should give up Thorfinn to the authorities, essentially.
Yeah.
The daughter wants to do it because that's the safer option. The
mom's retort is, women don't concern themselves with war, therefore we're not going to.
Well, also because, like, he's a kid and doesn't really think, like, he's part of it.
Okay, yeah.
At this point, so far. And he's acting very motherly to him, because we find out that she had a son that would have been around his age had he survived.
Yeah.
And, combs his hair, gives him some food. But while he's combing his hair, because it's all matty and messed up.
And has lice.
That's too, yeah. I forgot that part. An Englishman shows up, and Thorfinn tries to hide his face, because, he looks like a Norseman. Also, while, making his hand, towards the dagger, which the mom sees, and she's like, maybe this kid's not so good after all. But still, she decides to, lie to the authorities and tell them that Thorfinn is actually her son, and, that he should go away. And the daughter doesn't think this is a very good idea, which is immediately proven true, where Thorfinn is looking out into the, I guess, ocean. He picks up, like, a piece of burning wood and tells him to run away. In English.
Yes.
It's all in Japanese, but we're supposed to understand that he's trying to use these words in English.
Yeah, this is the beginning of the really weird section in which the show tries to imply that people are speaking in two different languages while only ever speaking in Japanese, a language that no one is actually speaking in.
Which I at least do like that they have, that is like a constraint in the world, is that they just can't talk to each other because they don't know their languages.
It is cool.
But it's very hard to show.
Like, I don't know, maybe they're speaking in different, like, dialects or something, so that's, like, hard for us to tell as listeners.
Oh,
but
true, yeah.
It is a weird constraint to depict in anime.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Well, I don't think in anime, I just think
weird.
Because they just are using one language.
Yeah.
Like, you could definitely dub this over with, like, actual, like, Norse, or not Norse.
With actual English?
Not English, but, like, English people speaking English, French people speaking French, and that stuff with, just subtitles. That's just too much of an undertaking, though. But it definitely can be done. It's not a constraint of the anime, it's just a constraint of, I mean, the voice actors can
they did that
Japanese.
In Megalobox for their different nationality characters. They all spoke in their proper language.
Oh, they did, yeah, but that was, like, very minimal. Like, it was... Because Pepe Iglesias is only there for, like, 5 minutes, and then he just gets knocked out.
Yeah.
The English guy's there for, like, a couple episodes, but that's really it. For this, it was, like, an extended episode, and then next episode as well is, like, there's a lot of French to Norse talking, too.
Yeah.
And I assume it's going to be more as well as the episodes come on, so it just might be too expensive. But it would be interesting to see.
It would be.
Anyways, Thorfinn, runs off and tells him to run, because shit's about to go down. Vikings are about to show up.
Yeah.
He starts burning a shack next to the ocean to signal to the Vikings. And this is when all the authorities like find out, hey, there's that Norse kid's over there. Let's go fucking find him and kill him. During the commotion, the Englishmen from the village show up to see, what's going on, which they really shouldn't be doing. They really should have heeded Thorfinn's words of "run away."
Yeah.
Which he does actually say. He said, like, "Hey, run away! I'm telling you guys, it's in English. Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out. Run into the woods. Bad things are coming."
Yep. The mom is there seeing like what's going down, and he sees Thorfinn shanking 2 motherfuckers and killing them.
Yeah, losing it.
Yep. She drops the comb, and off come the Vikings onto the village, and we're led to imagine what happens next, which is just the entire village gets destroyed.
Yeah,
whoever
they do classic Viking hood rat shit.
Yeah, whoever doesn't escape is dead.
There is a decent amount of pillaging and a fair amount of raping, probably. All the classic telltales of Vikings were here.
Yep.
And that's basically episode 6.
Yeah, it was really sad seeing like the mother just so heartbroken at like watching Thorfinn fucking lose it.
It was. If there is one sort of occurring or reoccurring thing, is that Thorfinn is sort of unsavable right now. It's the one thing that kind of turned me off to Thorfinn, and has been the one reason why I didn't really like the show for a really long time, is that Thorfinn is sort of just an unlikable character, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because, like, he even gets told by his dad, literally in the first 2 episodes, war is bad. Everything is awful.
Sucks.
Everything that you want to do is a bad idea. And still he goes down this path and is, like, fucking hard committed to it. Despite understanding at multiple different levels, this sucks. This is horrible.
Okay.
He's still, like, hard committed to it. So it's why I kind of find him an unlikable character. Which is also the reason why I have not liked anything up until these episodes, is that, like, this is a very character-driven drama-type show. And so when one of your main characters is just so utterly unlikable, it's just hard for me to give a shit about the show for a really long time.
Okay.
I can kind of get over it now, as Thorfinn is, like, kind of more mellowed out and, less weird all the time.
Well, we're also we might get the resolution to the duel next episode, which would essentially end his, like, revenge arc.
Right.
Which I'm not sure what happened after that.
Adventure arc.
Adventure arc. Like, maybe some other war arc where, like, he now has to escape war and, like,
maybe
just go do something else. I'm not sure. Because the Vinland Saga of manga does span a long time. I remember I was browsing our manga and I saw a page from one of the later chapters, and we do see Thorfinn a lot older.
Okay.
And he's, like, talking to someone.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot more that goes on, but we'll see what exactly that more is. All right. And on to episode 7, which almost has nothing to do with this episode, or episode 6. Because it's a lot. It's right now. It's very like Monster of the Week, where they're just like going off to different battles and exploring those.
Yeah.
Where in this one we had the pillaging Englishmen and their village. For this one we have the Franks and their war, and we're just gonna take one side because why not? Well, they take the attacking side.
Because we're mercenaries.
They're mercenaries, but they take that attacking side because if they win, they can just loot the fortress and just run away.
Yeah.
Which is what they do. And in this episode,
ostensibly because their theory is, if we win, we can just take half of their shit.
Yeah.
Because it's less you have to pay me money, and more just you get slightly less money than what you were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's in one of those negotiation things of, like, it doesn't feel like you're losing money because you didn't have it to start with.
Yeah.
So it's less you're paying me and more just you're giving up some of what you would have gotten.
I mean, kind of, but that leader really didn't like that they took all that shit.
No.
Well, actually,
that leader was also a dickhead, clearly.
Well, that leader was a dickhead. Also, they did say 50-50, so...
They did.
He did... Okay, anyways.
We'll get to the leader and all of that later.
I mean, fucking Frogman. The Danish king allows, his forces in England to rest for the winter. And he tells this to fucking... I don't know what to call him, like, Buckethead guy? Right? Just squarehead dude. And because of this, Askeladd is no longer making money. If there's no fighting, he can't get paid. So they decide to go fuck off somewhere else. And in this case, they go to France. Because that's where the fucking money's at.
Well, yeah, because fucking France and England are in, like, the eternal war, probably, at this point.
Well, in this case, it's not England and France, it's France and France. It's two Frankish, like, villages fighting each other.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I just assumed it was England and France because, like I said, it's in that time period
Oh,
of
yeah.
England and France fought like an eternal war. There was like probably a good 200 years of English-Frank history where they just
Beat the
were
shit out of each other
constantly at war.
forever.
They very casually had a lot of battles for a lot of like random pieces of hills and shit for a very long time.
Yeah, they
It was like summer sport for them. They would just trot out armies and be like, let's just have a battle.
And so a brooding Thorfinn is sent off to contact the attacking forces and try to propose a deal to them. That the Vikings will join in the attack if they give the Vikings 50% of the spoils. In order to do this, fucking Thorfinn does his best Naruto run out into the fucking camp like a fucking idiot. God, he looks so weird.
They won't be able to hit us if we run like this, Brandon.
Exactly. Before we're heading out, though, Askeladd finally makes a promise to duel Thorfinn if Thorfinn's able to return ahead with the helmet, aka ahead of a leader, or ahead of a leader.
Commander,
yeah.
Yeah.
So they, shake on it verbally.
Kind of. Yeah.
And Thorfinn goes off.
Thorfinn arrives at the camp and basically, in his best, not being able to speak English or French, repeats himself a lot, and in classic touristy fashion, just repeats himself louder the second and third time, that he needs somebody who can translate for him.
Yes.
And
they find it.
They find somebody somewhere along the way, and so he goes
bickering.
to meet with Human Toad.
Oh my god, Human Toad. Yeah, he bickers with Human Toad a little bit about, whether they should help or not. He kind of insults them, says, hey, you guys keep attacking that fortress, you're not going anywhere. We'll help you out. And then finally, the Frogman's like, alright, fuck it, fine. We'll do it.
Your best commander is standing over there wearing a literal fucking eye patch.
Yeah.
We can do better than you.
And so, the Normandy, aka Thorfinn, stays with them during the attack. While the Vikings are given the signal, and they trot their long boats over like a hill, because their plan is to get into the lake and attack from behind the fortress, where it's less fortified because it's fucking ashore.
Because they built walls along the woodland side, but there's no wall along the port side. Because why would you need to defend along the port side? Because they also lived upstream or downstream.
It was
upstream.
Was it upstream? Yeah, it was upstream, and there's a waterfall.
Waterfall.
So they couldn't get boats up there. But the Vikings are like, nah, fuck that. We'll just carry the fucking boats.
So they fucking carry their boats over land.
There's a joke about, dragons being seen off in the mountains by some of the Frenchmen. Some of the attacking Frenchmen.
Yeah.
But so, the next day happens upon them, and the French people are getting ready to assault the fortress. The Vikings are late, so the Frenchmen just decide to go ahead and attack, but they're not making any headway. We then hear some drums and then some yelling, and we know who the fuck that is. It's the fucking Vikings just carrying their longboats into the lake.
Yeah, no regard for human life.
Yep.
Just fucking run directly over top of human frog man with their longboats. Fucking throw that shit in the water and hop in.
Yep. While that's happening, Thorfinn sees that there's a guy with the helmet, there's a commander, so he decides to fucking just zip line all the way to him. That's his fucking target, and he's gonna do anything he can. What?
Give me that head.
Yes.
Is Thorfinn's main thought process at this point.
That's his only thought process.
Yeah.
So he uses this dagger to, scale up the fucking wall.
Yep.
And he starts attacking the crossbowmen. At this point, Askeladd has now, gotten around the bend of the fortress. They were getting hit by the crossbowmen for some time, but because Thorfinn's not attacking them, they're distracted, and Askeladd is now able to, seize the moment and get onto the shore. Thorfinn manages to kill the commander, but his head falls into the water, so he just dives in. And that's the last that we see Thorfinn for a little bit. After that, we kind of see the Vikings just beat the shit out of everyone.
Yeah, Vikings be Vikings.
Yep. Finally, the attacking Frenchmen are able to get into the fortress, only to find that everyone inside is dead.
Yeah.
And
the Vikings did what Vikings did. There was a plurality of pillaging.
There was a plunder.
They went a plundering and stole all the treasure,
Yep.
which is kind of understandable, or at least not understandable, but like kind of you can forgive them because we also saw that Human Toad was also going to double cross the Vikings.
Yeah.
So it was really more the Vikings just double crossed Human Toad first.
Yep. The Vikings just took all the money. Askeladd now has a fun little hat on, or not a fun little hat. He has a crown on. Yep. And a bunch of fucking loot. Like,
If I remember correctly, he was wearing his crown all jaunty like.
Yep. Askeladd knows how to wear the crown. He's pimping.
He was looking like Flava Flav.
Yep.
It was pretty legit.
Yes. Finally, Thorfinn comes back with his head. He's like, "Yo, fuck you, Askeladd. I got the fucking head. Let's fight." And
Askeladd's like,
"Yeah, but
I agree,
not just now."
but like in a little bit.
Yeah.
We do GTFO.
And they head off into the ocean. They make their way downstream. They go through the waterfall.
They make the fucking jump off the waterfall.
Yep, and they head off into the Atlantic.
Fucking Napoleon Dynamite's on the side, and he's like, "Sick air, man."
Yep.
They do actually impress some dudes on the way down, though. After they make their fucking, their longship, not submerges, but unsubmerges. Once it emerges from the water,
Uncapsizes.
yeah. Once it emerges from the water, there are some like Frenchmen who are just kind of hanging out on the beach who get to witness the dragon rising from the sea. So
Yep.
we have the birth of yet another fairy tale. Well, actually, no, it's not in Scotland. I was gonna make a Loch Ness monster joke here, but I guess it's not
You
in Scotland.
still can
so.
make a Loch Ness monster joke. You can make it the Loch Ness. No, it's not a French accent. I don't know. It was gonna be super racist, but
That was going to be, yeah. Also, it came out vaguely Scottish
did it? Oh, well, whatever. Loch is a Scottish.
because
word.
you were going very Loch Ness.
The loch in the lake. But anyways, joke about the Loch Ness monster aside. The Vikings are now out. They made their money, and now they're gonna live the high life, ready for spring to come, so they can fight more Englishmen and make more money.
That's because that's how Vikings roll.
Yep. But we also get a tease of someone in that hat. That's not a fucking hat. It's a crown. Not a crown. It's a fucking helmet. God damn it.
Yeah, what are you talking
Some
about?
other form of headwear. A helmet with the long hair and like two other people by their side. Or oh no, I'm sorry. That was the trailer for the next episode.
Okay.
Ignore what
I
I
was gonna
said.
say, I was like, what the actual fuck are you talking about?
I thought there was
the last
a
thing I
post-credit
remember
scene.
was just Thorfinn like brooding in the corner as he's like
That is the last
duel.
Yep. That is the last one.
Yeah. So we know the duel is on hand. Thorfinn is like a dog with a bone, single-minded in his attentions.
Here's my hot take. This is gonna be like every other tournament arc. They're gonna start dueling, but it's gonna be
Interrupted?
Interrupted. It's gonna be interrupted. 100%.
You're probably right, because since you saw that manga chapter, we know that Thorfinn doesn't die. It also makes sense that he's not going to die because he's like the main character. And I feel like it's too early for Askeladd to die yet, so I feel like you're right. It has to get interrupted. Because I feel like we're at the point where Askeladd wouldn't pull his punches anymore. He would just straight out kill Thorfinn if he could. So you're probably right. It does have to get interrupted.
It could get interrupted, or they could pull a fast one on us, and Thorfinn manages to beat Askeladd, but just decides not to kill him. Like him beating Askeladd is enough. But no, we'll see.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see next episode. What goes on? What the happenings are in Vinland Saga.
I'm finally liking it.
Okay. I thought you liked the
finally
first couple
dig-
episodes though, when Thor's was the main character.
It was okay.
Okay.
Human Hulk was like ridiculously overpowered. It falls into that category of like, if we're gonna go with like gritty character driven history drama, people have to be like vaguely realistically powered, and Human Hulk was like fucking ridiculously OP.
Okay.
He was doing fucking long jumps 20 feet. I mean, the dude transcended athletic freak into like, he
was God.
Yeah, feasibly he could not exist as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool, but like as a historical drama, I wasn't super in love with his depiction of Thor's. I would have preferred for him to just be like regularly strong.
I feel like this was a. I don't know. What I was trying to say is, I feel like it could work if we were under the impression that this is like how they viewed Thor's, like this Like the real Thor's wasn't like this, but this is like the blown up version that everyone told.
Maybe.
Right?
I mean, if it had been more like story based, like people
Yeah.
told stories about Thors, and we just saw like, you know, we
Yeah,
saw
like
the
all the
story.
embellishments.
Yeah, that would be cooler. But like the
That
fight with
wasn't
Aslan,
deep.
where he was literally long jumping
Yeah.
longboats, was where it was like, you know, at least pull some like fucking Pirates of the Caribbean Captain Jack shit, where you like cut one rope on the mast and like pulleys go up and down, you get like flung across. Like at least there, it's not you're just fucking leg powering your way across.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But that was just that. But I'm back into it. It's all real. Fucking, we invaded a fort today. Like,
We're gonna
doing
do some
some
more
classic.
pillaging next episode. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
We're doing some classic 1000 AD shit, and I'm all about it now.
Alrighty.
We're gonna break out a trebuchet at some point. Hopefully, the pinnacle of modern engineering.
Fuck those catapults.
Fuck those catapults. It's all about the trebuchet.
And that ends tonight's episode of ABC.
Yeah.
We had a lightning round it kind of this time around.
Yeah, we had a decent amount to get through after hiatus week.
So I did make a mention that I was going to sell out to the most expensivest, but I was going to do that last week, and then I found some other shit to sell out to, which I completely forgot about. So I'm just going to sell out to most expensivest again.
Okay.
There we go. It is a YouTube series by 2 Chainz where he just finds the most expensive shit and tries it out. It is just a fun exploration of just how, I don't want to say how dumb, but like just how crazy expensive shit just gets. And then for sometimes for good reasons, sometimes for just weird reasons. Like half the time why like some ice cream is super expensive is just because they sprinkle gold flakes all over that shit.
Huh.
Which 2 Chainz does not like because he feels like that's cheating. Because it is artificially increasing the price of the
I can
dish,
respect that.
right?
Yeah. I can understand that. I'm glad that he has like a reason for not liking it, and that it's not just like it tasted bad or something. Like he genuinely wants the value of the object to be tied to the object itself, and not just like we threw some diamonds on that shit and it added like $20,000.
Yeah,
I can respect that.
right. I like it.
That's pretty okay. When you mentioned you were going to sell it to a 2 Chainz thing, I knew exactly what I had to sell out to. I'm going to sell out to the one-time only thing, their advice column that 2 Chainz ran called True Love with 2 Chainz. He did it one time for a sports magazine called Swag Mag. He should absolutely bring it back.
I think I remember something similar he did. I don't know if it was exactly that, but he got sent a letter and and this kid asked, "Hey, 2 Chainz, 2 of my friends have fucked this one girl and now she wants to fuck me. Should I do it?" And he just looks at the camera and says, "Yeah." It just stops.
I'm pretty sure it's from the same thing.
Yeah.
It was like it was through this magazine called Swag Mag, but it was a like online series they ran. It was also where like probably the one most notable thing from it was the 2 Chainz. My girlfriend says if I don't score in the next game, she's gonna break up with me. What should I do? And his advice is you should score twice. Then dump her. True. So 2 Chainz should absolutely bring back True Love. It was a awesome series, and I'm so sad he only did 1 episode.
True Love on Champ Sports, at least on YouTube that I could find.
Yeah, Champ Sports is what owned Swag Mag.
Okay.
They were the publisher.
So what was that? Cool.
Yeah.
I love that video. It's so fucking great.
It was a phenomenal video. He should absolutely make more of them. So, shout out to you, 2 Chainz, and all of your weird video producing things. Do more. They're awesome. You are my favorite.
And so ends ABC. Have a good night or day, whenever you're listening to this.
Aspire to be like 2 Chainz.
Yeah, be super rich. That's what I want to do.